Hey guys, this is Sandra from the Alexandrite System, and today we are here with Jenna from the Gianu system.
Hey,
Sidebar here. It's hard to have a memory of not having a memory.
right? Right? Like
Yeah.
the whole did I experience amnesia? My husband and I would be like comparing notes. So while so and so was out, what do you remember? And so we were like, oh yeah, no amnesia. Until I pull up my phone and to see a video that Jennifer Adriana made, and I have zero memory of her making it. And I was like, oh, okay then. Yeah, yeah, no memory of that at all. But I didn't know I was missing time. I didn't like it's really hard to remember what you don't remember.
Yeah. There was there's sometimes where I'm like, am I exaggerating this? It's like, am I really just like not remembering details of things? And that's like a completely normal thing that people like forget sometimes. And then it's like Leona had a session with our therapist, and our therapist brought up something about our sisters, and Leona went, "We have sisters?" And it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's that's oof.
Yeah, no, when Anthony first came out, he knew we had like a spouse and kids, but then the cat surprised him. He was like, "Oh, we have a cat. Like this is wonderful, excellent." And then he found out we had a dog. He was not as pleased. Still not pleased with the dog. Still licks him and he's like, "You." So
Yeah.
yeah, just those missing tidbits of information.
Yeah, it's so strange what the brain will and will not forget.
Yes.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
and there's not like any kind of it's I try and tell people it's very individualistic. So
Hmm.
I'll answer for me because this is how it is in my system, but it might not be like that for any other system, like what we remember, what we don't, when we remember, how we access it.
Yeah, and I think that the community at large kind of puts systems into two boxes, DID or OSDD 1B,
Mhm.
and then OSDD 1A no one ever talks about.
I know,
Um,
right?
I feel bad. I'm glad that the Good Luck started their channel because it's like I'm glad there is a resource for 1A systems.
Yes.
Um, but that's a I'm jumping all over the place here. But and I think that we are it's more of a sliding scale where I think that we
Yes.
are more on the side of 1B, but there have definitely been times in the past where we blacked out. Like when um, we started this one particular psych medication before we found out about the system, and it really exacerbated like communication barriers,
Hmm.
or that's what we think was happening. Um, because there were days where I would go into work and then all of a sudden work would be over.
Yeah.
And it was like I was like, man, that went by real fast. And
Well, no, we're talking about that sliding scale, and I keep saying that because it's not like the DSM, because it's the DSM, has to have these real clear boxes. But I keep trying to tell people, I'm like, it's more like autism where it's now the
mhm,
spectrum, where it used to be, well, this box, and they're like, it's really all just kind of gradient within the same thing. And I think that's how it is with the dissociative disorders.
yeah, yeah. And I mean the autism as well, since like I would say probably 9 out of 10 systems are autistic as well.
I've
But
met
like,
several.
hmm um, but like I don't know. I really hate when people put it into clear boxes because it's always so out there.
Yes. We were
Like
originally diagnosed OSDD 1B, and then because like a year and a half later, we have an ultra we experience amnesia with. Well, now it falls under the DID criteria, but we're still experiencing the exact same thing.
yeah. And like here's the thing. If with the DSM-5, if you have ever experienced amnesia, DID, not OSDD.
Oh, so then that's different because before it was like childhood amnesia is still
Hmm.
OSDD. Okay.
Yeah. It in the DSM-4 it used to reclassify you as, I think they were using D.D.N.O.S still.
Yeah. Yep.
Um but it one it's like they changed they made a few changes that are really, really significant to the DSM-5 that no one talks about with this disorder, where one, you can self-report now, and that's it used to be that to be diagnosed, a therapist had to like see you switch. And now
Mm.
you can just report switching and like that's it. um
All right.
and so, I don't get systems who are like self-diagnosis is not valid and you know, but
Right.
also
Well, I
but
mean, because
also
you have alters that will not switch in front of someone else. So
exactly. And like we have switched a few times in front of our therapist, but I think it was last week we had a therapy session and I was like pretty much done with what I wanted to talk about and I was like I could get out Susan because like she has stuff she wants to talk about and our therapist was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And then I sat there for a minute and I was like, "I hate switching in front of people." And she was like, "Do you want to turn off your camera?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's let's turn off the camera."
yes.
Oh,
Yeah, I totally get that. We usually, if we're going to switch in therapy, it's because of like EMDR. That
mhm.
seems to be the most consistent thing that will switch out. And that's because we'll be dealing with memories that another part holds. But yeah, neither here nor there. The DSM is like it's like okay, so if you go to the Pirates of the Caribbean with the Pirates Code, well, it's more like a guideline.
Yeah.
Like it's more like a guideline. Like if you're experiencing these symptoms, really I hope they put it like a dissociative spectrum. Like that would be my great
Mhm.
hope for them. So, anyway,
Yeah. I think any therapist worth their salt would say that like any like diagnosis in that book is just like our best description of like this cluster of symptoms. It's
yes,
like it the name doesn't mean anything really. It's just you experience all of this or some of this.
right,
Where like, with our bipolar disorder, we don't actually fit all of the criteria for bipolar disorder despite being like professionally diagnosed with it. Like the first person to diagnose us, well, I guess the second. The first one was a whole thing, but the first person to diagnose us with it for real, he said like there's this criteria nicknamed Dig Fast, where it's like 7 criteria starting with DIGFAST. Um, don't ask me what they are; I can't remember. And you have to fit 4 of them to qualify for being bipolar. And we hit like 3.5.
mm,
And so he was like, I'm going to call it like unstable mood disorder, which is like, yeah, it's like we're bipolar, but we're not bipolar.
right, like quasi. And that's how a lot of people feel about like DID. They're like, well, it's kind of mostly, and I think that makes unfair like divisions. It's nice. So the term, like you said, any therapist with their soul will be like, yeah. So you putting a name on the bundle of symptoms is great to get treatment, and is great for the person to like kind of understand better what they're going through. But if they feel like they have to fit into this mold, then is when it gets like destructive.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think that, yeah, those molds have been really unhelpful for us in the past.
Hmm.
I've said this a lot, but something that I repeat in therapy a lot before we found out about the system in like the year leading up to it was I know I don't have DID, but.
Mm,
And if I had known that OSDD was a thing, I probably could have started this work a lot sooner.
yeah.